Now I'm talking about the various methods or approach that can be used in order to calculate the pure attainment value. Now, here, now I'm talking about the various techniques here. The pure attainment value is done in two methods. I already told that. One is batch wise, another is year wise. First, I will talk about the batch wise calculations. I will take small example, then I will tell in details here. See, now I am calculating the pure attainment batch wise here. See, when you say that batch wise, let us assume that if you take B engineering computer science programs, if any student, if you admitted 2016-17 is the first year, 17-18 is the second year, 18-19 third year, 19-20 final year. So when you will get the degree, because the final year only in the month of March, at maybe the April you will get here. So in the sense, you will get the degree in which year? 2019-20 only. In the sense, 2016 admitted batch, he will pass out only in the year of 2020 only. So in the sense, this he will get the degree in the year of CAY -1. In the sense, 2019-20. Now, if you look at the 2015 admitted batch students, you will get the 2019 only. In the sense, this is the first year, 2015-16, second year, third year, final year. So when you will get the degree final year in the month of the March 2019 or maybe April. So in the sense, 18-19. In the sense, this is 19. Now, if you take 2014 batch, when you will get the degree, it is in the year of 2018. Probably it may be in the month of March or April maybe. So this is the first year, second year, third year, final year. So whenever you are doing the pure attainment value, we will take a particular batch here. This is the 16th batch, this is the 15th batch, admitted batch, 2014 admitted batch, like that. This is called batch wise. I will take small example here. Let us assume that while calculating the pure attainment value, I will take this particular batch student, 2016-17, those who are in first year courses, first year students, second year students, third year students, final year, because the students only I will take here while calculating the pure attainment. Now, I'm assuming that in 2016, those who are admitted, okay, those who are passed out is which year? 2019, 2020, sorry, 2020. These batch students are studying the 60 subjects, 60 courses. Now, first year, I'm assuming that when you say that first year, you may be having a 2 semester, first semester as well as second semester. I'm assuming that in first year they are studying 15 subjects. In second year, you may be having a third semester as well as fourth semester. So you would study these 17 subjects. In third year, like a what do you say that in fifth semester as well as sixth semester, they are studying the 16 subjects. In final year, fourth year, in sense like a seventh semester as well as eighth semester, they are studying the 12 subject. If you add it all these subjects, 15 plus 17 plus 16 plus 21, then you are getting 60. In the sense, whenever I want to calculate the 16 batch, I'm taking the 60 subjects with respect to 144 students, because of admitted batches students I'm taking, then I will do the attainment of the PO. In this fashion, I am taking. See here, I just kept 60 subjects here. Probably in your curriculum, you may be in your curriculum, it may be 65, even 68 subjects also the student may be studying. For understanding purpose, I am taking only 60. Even whatever the subjects I've kept here, it's only ideal case I will take in here. So now, so when I do this pure attainment value, I will take the 60 students, then 60 subjects I'm taking here, then 144 students I'm taking, then I will do the attainment calculation. In a sense, I will take first year subjects, second year subjects, third year subjects, final year subjects. Okay. Then I will take the 144 students, those who are in this year, how many number of students are there, those student details I'm taking, then I'm doing the calculation of the attainment value. How I'm getting this attainment value, I will explain the next. If you look at here, I'm taking 2014, 18. So attainment of the PO1 is 3. Attainment of the PO2 is 2.86. If you take 2015, 18, the attainment of the PO1 is 3. PO2 is 2.7. With respect to 2016, Admitted, pass out is 2020. So P1 is 2.97, 2.94. How I got this value, I will explain next slide. Yeah. Previously, we talked about the batch wise. Now I'm talking about the year wise. If you look at here, I'm taking here in the year of 1920. In the year of 1920, okay, I'm taking the first year students. Okay, who are the first year students? Okay, in the 1920, I'm taking the second year students. Okay, in the 1920, I'm taking the third year students. In 1920, I'm taking the final year student. Have you seen here? I'm taking this in vertical. This is the vertical. If you look at the previous example, like a batch wise, it is a horizontal. Horizontal in the sense we have taken like that. If you see here, batch wise, so we did the horizontal. That is called batch wise. In the sense we are taking only one set of the students. When it comes to batch wise, sorry, year wise, we are taking the multiple batch. We don't know the 19 admitted batch, 2018 batch, 2017 batch, like that. In the sense, in the 1920, there are different year students we are taking here. Now, this is the 1920. Now, when you say that this is 1819, first year students, second year students, third year students, final year. When you say 1718, first year students, second year students, third year students, final year students, I'm taking. So this is the vertical. While calculating the PO attainments, what I'm doing here is that, for example, you take that 1920. I'm assuming that in 1920, in first semester as well as second semester, in the sense odd semester as well as even semester, I'm assuming that there are 60 subjects are there. Let us assume that. Okay. In first year, first semester, you may be having a first semester as well as second semester. Those students, they would have studied 15 subjects. In second year students, they would have third semester as well fourth semester. I'm assuming that they have studied 17 subjects. Now in third year, a sixth semester as well as seventh semester, I'm assuming that they have studied 16 subjects. In final year, like a seventh semester as well as eighth semester, they would have studied 12 subjects. I'm assuming that. So in 1920, odd semester as well as even semester, they have studied 60 subjects. So 15, 17, 16, 20. So I'm assuming that 60 subjects. Now, while calculating the PO attainment value, what I do is that I will take the all the 60 subjects from first year to final year, since OR. By considering all the subjects, by considering these students, I will do the PO attainment value. This is the way I will do the attainment value of the PO. This is called we can say that year-wise attainments. So when I say that 15 subjects, which include the theory component, and in sense theory subjects as well as labs subject also, don't get confused, because of it may be even when you say that 12 subjects, which include the theory courses, laboratory courses, even project work, even internship. That is what I want to say here. Now, based on that, we will do the calculation of the attainment here. Now, one of the drawback of this is that you need to take the different set of the students here. If you see here, you need to take the different set of the students here, not only one set of the students. Whereas in the case in batch wise, we'll take only one set of the student here. But when it comes to year wise, you have to take the different batch student here. If you see here, he is 122. This guy is 19 batch. Here is 121. It 18 batch. So you are taking a different set of the students, different regulations while calculating the PO attainment value. So sometime it's multiple regulations, multiple students. Sometime it will be complexity will wise it increases. Now if your curriculum is well defined by considering the POs, then it is very good approach. Like IITs, NITs, this approach is very good. But when it comes to batch wise, if you look at the previous wise, if you take the PO attainment batch wise, they have some drawback here. Is if you take the batch wise, you have to wait the 4 years. In a sense, now I want, if you take 2016, when I will do the attainment value for the 2016 batch, I have to wait up to 1920. In the sense, I have to wait for the 4 years. So this is the one of the drawback of batch wise. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm talking about the list of the assessment tools that can be used in order to measure the PO. Okay. What are the assessment tools we can use the to measure the PO? Yeah. One. With respect to here, the CIE exams. What do you mean CIE exams? CIE exam is nothing but internal exams. Some people they will call as a mid exam or unit exams, whatever the things. The nomenclature will maybe different, but concept is same. Okay, CA exams are conducted by the department faculty internally. Yeah, as you know that we conduct the mid exams, means theory exams we will conduct. The student has to appear, we'll give the marks. Now we will also give the assignments to the students and allocate it to the marks to them. We will also conduct the lab exam for the students. Then we'll also allocate the marks to them. Then we also student has to give the seminars based on the performance. We'll also allocate the marks. Even internship also, we student has to do the internship. Then based on the performance of the internship, we'll allocate the marks. Even student has to do the project works. Based on the project work, the student has to do the student has to do the project whether inside the campus or outside the campus. The based on his performance, we will allocate the marks. So far, this is called CIE, internal exam. We can say that one. Next is university exam. What do you mean the SE? SE is nothing but university exams only. Yes, at the at the end of the semester, no, we will conduct the university exams. Student has to appear based on the performance of that particular exams. We will allocate the marks. Now, even university also will be conducted the lab exams based on their performance. We will also allocate the marks. Even during the semester end exams, student has to do the internship, their performance. They have to present their work, what exactly they are doing. Based on their performance, we'll also allocate the marks. Yes, in semester end exam, we'll also conduct the pride work exams based on the performance of the students. We'll also allocate the mark. In a sense, what I want to say is that these are the comes and no CIE part. These are the parts through that we'll allocate the marks to the students. Now, if you look at here, what do you mean the direct assessment tools? Direct assessment tool is nothing but CIE, in the sense internal exams. It may be the theory exams, lab exams, it may be the project works, assignment, seminar, anything like that. With respect to university exams, it's nothing but external exams, like theory exams, lab exams, internship, project work, whatever the thing, according to your university norms. So here, the direct assessment tools, the weightage is, if you look at here, is 80% is here. Now, in order to calculate the PO attainment value, generally what happened here, every faculty member for each subject, for example, I'm handling there is a subject called DBMS subject. So for that particular subject, I'm do the calculation of the CO attainments. I will do CO attainments. Of course, I will also do the PO attainment with respect to my subjects. So my subject at the end of the semester, I will do the attainment of the CO as well as in my subjects, which are the POs I have mapped. Those POs I will do the attainment also. So in the sense, I will take the CIE value as well as SE value. I will calculate the CO attainment value as well as PO attainment value also. Now I'm talking about the what are the indirect assessment tools that we can use in order to measure the PO. Now, with respect to here, there are plenty of the indirect assessment tools we can use here. Here, I have listed 10 program exit survey. I mean, 10 surveys I have given here. So if you have any other survey, you can also list out here. Now, indirect assessment tools like a program exit survey, ex-student survey, placements, higher studies records, NCC activities, NSS activities, co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, employer survey, parent surveys. You can also use like a for a freshers day, yoga day, whatever thing surveys you want to use, you can use in order to measure the POs. For example, from NSS activities or NCC activities, like a societal environmental issues, you can focus. In the sense, you can map to the PO6, PO7. Means if you are organizing any program through the NCC or NSS, you can map to the PO6, PO7 with respect to UG engineering program outcomes. Now, I want to say one thing here. How many surveys you have taken, that is not important for us. How many quality surveys you have taken, that is important for us. And one more thing is that how many number of students participated in the survey is also important. While calculating the PO attainment value, you have to take large number of samples, but unfortunately these are the samples, you can find less number of students only. I'll do small example here. Except the program exit survey, program exit survey, remaining surveys you can find only few number of student only. For example, you take the NCC activities. Okay, you can find less number of your students participating in NCC activities, NSS activities. You take the your own department here. How many number of students are participated from your department into the NCT activity? Hardly five. Okay, out of five students, how many number of particular batch, like a 2015 batch, 2017 batch, how many number of participants? Hardly one students or two students. In the sense, while having one student participating in NCC or NS activity, you want to calculate the pivot attainment value. So that's why people will say that one. Whenever if you are calculating the pivot attainment value, you have to take the large number of samples. So you will get the some sort of clarity. That is the reason only maximum college will consider only program exit survey. Why program exit survey more number of sample? In the sense, you take my college one example here. Those who are in final year, before issuing the hall ticket, every student has to give the program exit survey. That is the reason only more than 95%, I can say that, even 99 I can say. So whoever taking exams, everyone will give the program exit survey. So that is the reason only we will take all those students while calculating the PO attainment value. In the sense, we can find more number of samples. These remaining surveys, you can find only few what is it samples only. You take one more example called parent survey. How many number of parents will have a technical background of the engineering? Because of MBA, for UG point of view, there are 12 POs they have defined. Do you think that all the parents have engineering background? Of course, one or two maybe in a class 60, one or two parents may be having a technical backgrounds. So by considering one or two, you want to calculate the pivot attainment, that is not advisable. So that is the reason only maximum institution they will take only program exit survey, because of you can find more number of samples here. So how much of weightage you are taking here? Now, while calculating the pivot attainment value, indirect assessment tools, I'm giving the 80% of the, sorry, indirect assessment is 20, whereas direct attainment value is 20. Now, next question is that how frequently you are collecting the data from the students? In students, program exit survey. Those who are in final year, at the end of the year, those who are final year, so they have to give some sort of feedback, program exit survey. Those feedback will use in order to calculate the PO attainment value. Now I'm taking the small example. How do you do the calculation of the PO attainment here? So in order to do the PO attainment calculations, I already told that I am using direct attainment value as well as indirect attainment value. So here 80% weightage I'm taking for the direct, 20% weightage I'm taking for the indirect. Then this is the final attainment value. Now, I'll take small example here. When I say the direct assessment tools, in previous slides, I already told that with help of the theory exams, lab, exams, project work, assignments, seminar, internship. These faculty members, those who are handling with respect to theory exam, for example, I'm handling there is a DBMS subjects. In theory of the subjects, I can give the PO attainment value for that. These are the component values I can use in order to measure the PO. Now, even I am also taking the semester end exams marks also to calculate the PO attainment. See here, there are two assessment tools, direct assessment tools. One is the CIE part, another one is SCE. Now, whenever I am calculating with respect to my subject, the PO attainment value, okay, I will calculate the PO attainment value, I will submit to the department here. So once if I submit here as a program coordinator or HOD, okay, they will take the PO attainment value from the various faculty members, then they will give the 80% of the weightage only. In the sense, once at the end of the semester is over, every faculty member has to give the attainment value with respect to his subject. For example, in DBMS subjects, I have mapped to 5 POs. So I have to supposed to give the 5 PO attainment value. In the sense, whatever the POs I have mapped, those PO attainment value have to submit the department value. In the sense, every end of the semester, the HOD or program coordinator, they will collect the PO attainment from the respective faculty member. Now, while calculating the PO attainment, concerned faculty member will take the CIE marks as well as SCE. Now, as a program coordinator or HOD, I will do the program exit survey. How much of weightage I am taking here is 20%. Generally, I will take the program exit survey at the end of the semester only.